The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's Helpline session with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea. And I'd like to start by welcoming our participants from our coaching program to our Monday morning helpline session. And as you guys know, Monday mornings means it's our open forum Q&A. It's a free-for-all. We could talk about anything your heart desires, anything that came up over the weekend, any questions that you may have jotted down, anything at all. You want to talk about lead generation, you want to talk about some of the ads you're running or would like to, anything that we looked at and talked about on the Friday ad clinic session, which was excellent, by the way, we can do that as well. If you want to talk about lead conversion, whether that's the universal callback script or the presentations, any of the systems, anything at all, we can discuss it. This is why we do this open forum Q&A session every single Monday morning. Now, while you guys are considering what it is that you might want to discuss, I want to make a couple of announcements here. Number one, for those of you on the East Coast, remember that coming up on Friday, May the 13th, is our boot camp. It's our Fort Lauderdale coaching boot camp. So this is an exclusive event only for Craig Proctor coaching students. There's no cost. You've already invested in the coaching program, and this is for you to spend an entire day in a really great environment working on your business with your fellow coaching students, including some who are at the platinum level, who are doing incredible things. So we're going to have some panels and stuff like that. So you're going to learn a lot from one another as well. But spending a day at the boot camp is an absolute no-brainer. We get amazing feedback, such clarity you're going to gain from spending that day in that focused environment working on your business and really understanding some of the things that might be a little bit vague at the moment, particularly for those of you that are newer to the system. But anyway, yeah, that's in Fort Lauderdale. Right on your coaching website, you can confirm. I know that many of you have already, but if you haven't or you're on the fence, just confirm that you're coming. And again, that's Friday, May the 13th, coming up in a couple weeks' time here. So we're really looking forward to seeing everybody there. Now, having said that, we had some great ads that were uploaded on Friday, and we hope that you'll continue to do that. This Friday, we'll look at as many ads as time permits again. We're also going to look at a marketing piece that was created by one of our platinum students, Jim Buttrell, who's in North County, San Diego here. And what Jim did, now granted, Jim is at a very high level with the Craig Proctor system. He's been doing it for many years, and he's really blueprinted the system in his marketplace. But one of the things that Jim created was his own community newspaper. And he gets his affiliates to pay for it, or pay for the newspaper and the distribution pretty much entirely. As a matter of fact, his goal is to make it an actual profit center. So it's not just being paid for, but he's actually making a profit on the publication and distribution of this newspaper that he sends out, which of course is full of Jim's marketing and lead generators. So we're going to take a look at that on the Friday ad clinic session. And again, this is something that you may not do immediately, but you will eventually. There's a logical order in implementing all of the lead generators, but this is one that that would be great for you to add to your sort of pillars supporting your lead generation at some point in the future. So we'll take a look at that on Friday. But again, upload your ads. And the one thing that I did want to talk about in regards to the ad clinic that we just conducted on Friday, that was very good. I hope you participated in it. If you didn't, or if you want to listen to it or watch it again, you can do that. Of course, all of them are recorded and put in the archive, so you can go under ad clinic and you can watch any of those webinars you want. Again, see our critique of the various ads that were sent in. But here's the point that I really wanted to make is when you're embarking on your ad campaigns, what you want to consider is this. Do I have consistent and predictable lead generation at this moment? In other words, if you're newer to the system, what you want to ask yourself is, can you say that every single day you are generating at least a trickle of prospects into your email inbox every single day, 365 days a year? Or is it sporadic? Is it more once in a while? Now, here's why I ask that. Because what you want to begin with, and what really is the foundation of the lead generation system first, is the less branded marketing, because it very consistently generates leads on a predictable daily basis. So in other words, we looked at many USP, branded USP ads that offer guaranteed sales and things like this. And there is a place to implement those marketing strategies, but the foundation first is the less branded. I want to make sure that you have that in place first, so that we know without question every day there's going to be a lead or two or three in your email inbox consistently and predictably. We can count on that happening. Where is that going to come from? It's going to come from Facebook ads that offer online home evaluations or lists of great deals available for sale in the marketplace, hot lists. It's going to come from Google ad campaigns. It's going to come from editorial style ads in the local newspaper or remnant space classified ads. It's going to come from less branded direct mailers that target high activity neighborhoods and offer online home evaluations and area home sales reports. Those marketing campaigns are the foundation of your lead generation system, because those things will absolutely predictably and consistently generate a lead or two every single day like clockwork. Once that foundation is in place, then what you want to do is you want to build on top of that the branded USP style advertising, much of which we looked at on Friday's ad clinic session. And here's why. What you'll find with that advertising is that it may not generate the same consistency and volume of leads as the less branded marketing, but it generates an extremely high quality prospect, a ready to act prospect, a prospect that's more pre-sold on you before you even pick up the phone and follow up with that lead. That's the benefit of USP branded advertising, is that anybody that responds to that marketing is responding to you, and it's more specifically the benefit that you are associated with. So the conversion of that prospect is much, much easier than it is a less branded prospect that did not respond to you in any way. They responded to information that was being offered. So now not only that, but here's what you're going to find as well. Somebody that responds to an ad that says your home sold guaranteed or I'll buy it, for example. Anybody that responds to that branded message, what you'll find is they're very likely much further along in the process. In other words, they're at a point where listing their home for sale is imminent. Whereas when you run an editorial style ad, for example, it says avoid these costly mistakes when selling your home, you'll get prospects that are very, very early in the process that might be thinking about doing something in 6 months or in a year. So remember, the reason that you're doing these different things is the conversion process on branded advertising is really, really effective, but the benefit of the less branded is the consistency and predictability in the lead generation from it. So bear that in mind, and remember, we want to use a multifaceted approach here to lead generation. We want to have both. But first things first, make sure the foundation is set and you've got these less branded lead generators in place. Okay, now, having said that, hopefully we got the juices flowing here a little bit, and some of you have considered different questions or topics of conversation that you might want to bring up. Remember, sky's the limit. We can talk about anything your heart desires. So I'll let Andrea explain how you can get involved if you don't know already. So Andrea, take it away.
Yes, and we do have lots of questions already typed in the chat box. We have a couple of hands raised. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and do so now. Just type your question, your comment, or if you have a working mic or you're on the telephone, click the telephone button or the hand icon, and we will go to your question. The first question is from Mary. What is the best way to handle leads that are emailing me from the MLS listing to book a showing and they haven't included their phone number?
Well, it's pretty reasonable that if somebody wants to look at a property that you'll need their contact information. I mean, that's very reasonable. You know, something that Craig talked about on Thursday that I thought was really timely was this, is that when you sit down with your seller, okay, so they're responding to a listing that you have. At the time of listing, what you want to build into your presentation is this. You want to get permission from the seller to their benefit as well as yours, permission from the seller to meet with the buyers that want to take a look at their property so that you can determine definitively that they are the right candidates for their property. In other words, I don't want to be kicking out of your home morning, noon, and night for just any old tire kicker that isn't qualified to even purchase your home. I would like to make sure that I meet with them, make sure they're qualified, and make sure that your home is what they're looking for before we go ahead and set up a showing for them to take a look at it. That way, everybody maximizes their time and we don't waste anybody's time. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would you agree? Would you agree to that? And now you have their permission to be able to email back this prospect and say, listen, please provide me with your contact information so I can discuss this property with you as per the wishes of my seller. Thank you. Now, let me get this straight. I want you to show me this property, but I'm not going to tell you who I am. I'm going to give you an email address and you're just going to meet me at the property? That's called, I have a crystal ball. That's called a total waste of time. You know it. You know that that is not a good use of your time because you could do that 100 times and maybe once something would come from it. But 99 times out of 100, you know that you are completely wasting your time and your seller's time as well, really, of the buyer. They're not buying that property. So we've got to look at all these things and say, okay, what would be a better system? What would be a better way of dealing with this? And it is absolutely reasonable that because your sellers have requested that you meet with the buyers, that you request from the buyer their contact information so that you can discuss with them this property so that you can set up a showing for them to take a look at it. Now, any buyer that says, no, I don't want to talk to you about this property. I just want you to come on over and show it to me. You really don't want to spend your time with somebody who's that unmotivated. I mean, really, let's think of it this way. If somebody is a serious bona fide buyer, is it reasonable that they're going to give up their anonymity to a realtor? Now, think about this. Every single buyer that buys a home, they had to have given up their anonymity to a realtor. So buyers that don't buy, they may hide. But they're not buyers. They're not buying anything. So they're not giving up their anonymity. We get that. But every buyer who actually buys a property, they all 100% give up their anonymity to a realtor because they're actually buying something, and you have to. So we're looking for not the non-buyers, we're looking for the actual buyers. The actual buyers will respond to your email and say, my name is Kevin Smith, my number is this, and they'll provide their information. Here's why. They know if they're serious about buying a home, they're going to give up their anonymity to a realtor. You have to. And everybody does. This isn't a maybe. This is definitive. They all do. All right. Good question. Let's keep going, Andrea.
Okay, our next question from Bruce. Have you ever used the video email service BombBomb for lead follow-up?
We have not, no. Remember this, okay? As far as lead follow-up is concerned, 90+% of lead follow-up is the universal callback script, following up with the prospect and communicating with the words that come out of your mouth over the telephone. The other 1, 2, 3, maybe 5% is everything else you do to follow up with the prospect, what you send them, what you email them, But we know that no leads will be converted without using the universal callback script and having a conversation with a prospect. So we could take every follow-up tool there is, every newsletter, every email, everything possible on this planet that we could send to them, but you take away talking to the prospect, you're getting nowhere. That's just the reality of what we're doing here. We are in a communications business, and the way to convert a prospect into a client is to communicate with them verbally. Craig says this over and over again, and I love it. I repeat this as many chances as I get. We are paid proportionally to the quality of words that come out of our mouth, not we are paid proportionally to the quality of words that we write down on something in print. No, we are paid proportionally to the quality of words that come out of our mouth. Now, that could be face-to-face, that could be negotiating an offer, but in this instance, this is over the phone converting a lead. So are there great follow-up tools and technology available to us? Absolutely. And I suggest, as Craig does, that you test and you utilize what resources are available to you and test. But don't ever think that you're going to replace communicating with your prospect using the universal callback script, following up with them by phone, with any email or anything that you can send like this. For any of you that have been to one of our boot camps or are being coached by Lester Cox, there's something that Lester says. I love it. He always says this. He says, the most effective and oldest sales device is the telephone, and it's the same in 2016 as it was in 1960. It is the most effective tool for sales is the telephone, and that remains as true today as it ever has been. So I appreciate your question. I'm not familiar with the technology that you've just suggested, but knock yourself out and try it. Just don't think that it's going to replace. All it's going to do is augment what you're doing. Thanks, Andrea.
Our next question from Daniel. What do we say in the intro of the script if we have already provided a list of homes under our HDX site?
I'm just calling. Hi, Andrea. It's James with Craig Proctor's office calling from RE/MAX. Hey, Andrea. I'm just calling to let you know that I received your request on my website for properties available for sale, and I just want to let you know that I did provide you those properties, and I'm calling as a courtesy to make sure that's okay. It's not. Listen, the introduction. This is what you want to have in your head when you're introducing yourself to the prospect, okay? The reason I'm calling you is because you wanted information from me. That's it. That's it. That's the introduction. I'm not cold calling you. I'm not harassing you. I'm not starting anything. I never would have called you had you not first requested information from me. You started this. Now, obviously, you don't want to take that tone, right? But this is what we're trying to get across to the prospect is I'm calling you, Andrea, because you were on my website and you requested access to properties for sale that matched your family's criteria. And I just wanted to give you a very quick courtesy call and let you know that I did provide you with that information. I hope that's okay, Andrea. Now, Andrea's going to say, yes, thank you. That's the bottom line. Andrea's not going to say, why are you bothering me? I'm calling you as a courtesy to let you know that I did get your request for information on my website, and I just wanted to let you know that I did provide that, and I hope that's okay. I hope you got that. I hope you resourced the information. Listen, the prospect will say thank you. You're calling them because they asked you for information, and you're making sure that they got that information. Once they say thank you, whole new ball game now. Now you could say, hey, no problem. Hey, by the way, are you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? You can tailor the introduction to reflect anything that the prospect did. But the bottom line is this. Every single prospect that you follow up with initiated your relationship by asking for information or resourcing information from you first. They visited your website. They requested information, they accessed information, whatever it was, they received information, they're going to receive the information, whatever it is, they initiated this first, and you're going to make that very clear right off the bat when you follow up with your prospect. Thus, what you're thus doing is you are eliciting a response of appreciation. Right? That's really what this boils down to is the prospect can't be upset with you. They can only be appreciative. They can only think in their mind, well, thank you. Yes, I did request that. You did provide it. Thank you. And that's all we want. We want thank you because it makes the rest of the phone call so much easier when somebody appreciates the fact that you provided them what they asked for. Next question.
Our next question is, please tell me what are the next best steps to do after you have booked an appointment? what benefits you should enumerate on the email to compel the prospect to look forward and confirm the appointment with you?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, first of all, what you want to make sure that works better than anything else I could suggest is this. The closer to now you book the appointment, the better. So in other words, if it is 8:30 in the morning and I was following up with a prospect and I could book an appointment with them this afternoon versus Thursday afternoon, okay, the likeliness of this afternoon's appointment happening is far greater than Thursday afternoon's appointment happening. Does everybody see that? Isn't that just so logical? If it's 8:30 in the morning and I say, what's better for you, days or evenings? And they say, well, afternoons work well for me. How's something this afternoon, or would tomorrow afternoon be better? Now that prospect says, well, I'm not available till Thursday afternoon or this afternoon. If I book an appointment for this afternoon and say, what's best, be after 1 o'clock or something after 3:30, and I book that appointment for this afternoon, do you all agree that appointment this afternoon is far more likely to occur than if instead we book the appointment for Thursday afternoon as we sit here on Monday morning? Why is that? Why is the appointment this afternoon more likely to happen than the one on Thursday afternoon? It's not that the one on Thursday afternoon isn't going to happen. I'm just saying that it's less likely than the one that's this afternoon. So in other words, there's a direct correlation between how soon you book the appointment and how likely the appointment is to happen. If I book that appointment for this afternoon, what we're going to do is we're going to email the prospect directions to the office, a confirmation of the time, and here's something that I might suggest that you do for buyer appointments. Okay, so this is a buyer appointment, let's say. The buyer's coming to meet with you at your office. What you want to do is not only give them, the confirmation, which is the time and the directions, but what you also want to do is think of it as giving them a little homework assignment. See, I don't want anything to get in their head that says we're going to charge you money and make you sign stuff. Because if they entertain the thought that by coming and meeting with you, they are signing their life away and writing checks, they are not going to show up. They're going to no-show or they're going to cancel. That thought can never enter their minds. So there's two ways that we're going to combat that thought. The first is this. We are going to give them a little homework assignment that says something like this. Please consider all of the most important elements in the home that you're looking for. Write down anything that might be really important to you in the home that you're looking for, or anything that you definitely want to avoid in the home that you're looking for. This will make our appointment that much quicker and effective. And point number 2, by the way, please remember, there is no cost whatsoever to this afternoon's appointment, nor are you ever obligated to buy any home. We'll look forward to seeing you at 3:30 this afternoon, James. There's your email. Now, here's why we're going to do that. I want the prospect to be focused on coming to this appointment because of the benefit to them, not them wondering, now, I'm going to meet with a salesperson this afternoon. I must be out of my damn mind. A salesperson is going to charge me money and obligate me. So we need to instead say this. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, I bet you're wondering why a salesperson wants to meet with you. Here's why. Because I need to know exactly what you're looking for so that I can do a good job of providing you with those properties. That's why. So here's your homework assignment. Sit down and consider all of the most important key elements in the home that you and your family are looking for, and anything you definitely want to avoid in the home that you're looking for. And remember, it's absolutely free. You're never obligated to buy anything. We'll see you at 3:30. That's your follow-up email. So 2 things here. Number 1, book the appointment as close to now as possible, and it will happen. Number 2, make sure that when you send your follow-up email, it doesn't just confirm the appointment and where, it also reiterates in a very non-threatening, non-alarmist way the reason for the appointment. And you'll see that your no-shows will be reduced if that's a problem, if that's been a problem up to this point.
We have a few members asking, when calling a lead, if they do not answer, do you recommend leaving a voice message, and how often should I try?
Here's the problem. If you leave a voice message, really what you're going to find is that the prospect won't call you back. Yeah, I mean, how about this? If you followed up with a prospect 5, 6, 10 times, and you're just not going to follow up with them anymore, then there is no harm in leaving them a voice message. There is no harm in saying, hey, listen, I've got a certificate that saves $1,000 off of your closing costs when you're ready to make a purchase. If you're able to give me a call back in the next 24 hours, I'll provide you with that certificate. And if you're not going to use it, you can give it to anybody that you might know that's thinking about making a move, right? I mean, because you're not calling them back anyway, there's no harm in leaving that message. Here's the problem, though. When you follow up with a prospect and you call them the very first time and they don't answer the phone and it goes to voicemail, leaving a message then is a big mistake, because what happens is the prospect is very unlikely to call you back from that message. Now when you call them back, it's kind of like cat's out of the bag. You look desperate now, and it defeats the purpose of you calling them. If I leave you a message that says, hey, I'm just calling because I received your request for information. Okay, well, thank you. I got your voicemail. You let me know that, I requested information. I heard your voicemail. Great. Now all of a sudden you keep calling me. I finally answer the phone. And you say, hey, I'm just calling to let you know I got your request for information. I'm thinking as the prospect, yeah, I know. You already left me a voicemail, right? I got that. What you're doing is you're making yourself appear as that you're taking away the logic behind the introduction and the universal callback script. Okay, that's my best way of putting it, all right? There's logic to the introduction. The reason I'm calling is to let you know I received your request. I want the very first time that I say that to be with a live prospect. I don't ever want that to be on a voicemail, because now it takes away from when I actually do speak to them. It makes it less effective to the prospect. And I want it to be very, very effective. I want the prospect to say, oh yeah, thank you. Okay, so here's the bottom line. You're going to need to follow up with these prospects more than once. And very often they're not going to answer the phone on the first attempt. It may take you 3, 4, 5 attempts or more. Now eventually, when you've got a lot of new prospects, you're not going to be able to follow up with the old ones 100 times. It's not going to be possible. If you're never going to follow up with a prospect again because you've tried them to exhaustion, then you can leave a voicemail message. Knock yourself out. You're not calling them anyway. Might as well leave a voicemail message. But don't do that first. Listen, Craig sold over 500 homes a year for 15 years in a row. Never, ever left voice messages. That should tell you something. Never left voice messages. Do you know what we found is that we'd get more prospects calling us back when we didn't leave a message than when we did. Think about that. Your phone rings. There's a local phone number. It doesn't say Joe's Plumbing. It's a local phone number. But they didn't leave a message. Then that same phone number calls again later that day. They don't leave a message. You would be as compelled to call that prospect back because they didn't leave a message as if they did leave a message saying, hi, I'm a real estate agent. Now you're definitely not calling back. So in other words, not leaving a message will get you more of what you want than actually leaving the message. So that's been our experience over and over and over again, that we can safely say it's the rule, not the exception. Great question.
Our next question is from Bruce. Do you have any recommendations as to where I should ask my clients to post an online review, Zillow versus Yelp, and if so, why?
Well, both of them. Listen, here's anywhere where the public can find reviews is a great idea. But let's think of this as a testimonial, right? We're going to use testimonials in your listing presentation, in your buyer presentation, in your branded advertisement, on Yelp reviews, on Zillow reviews. A third-party endorsement, think of it this way. We're going to use it as a USP. Okay, so watch this. Here's a good example, all right? Bruce sold our home in 5 days for 101% of our asking price after our previous agent had it listed for 3 months. That is a pretty damn... Now, here's the thing. Forget about a review. That's a testimonial. That is a testimonial that now you can use that in multiple places. That goes right in your listing presentation, right? That goes in any branded advertising that you might be doing promoting a guarantee, for example. But to say, should I run a review in one place? Why? No. There is no one place. It should go everywhere. It should go on your Facebook feed. Why not? Why wouldn't you have third-party endorsement? But the key is this. It needs to be a specific endorsement. Craig calls them wimpy testimonials. Wimpy testimonials are this. Bruce is a really nice guy. He did a great job. That's a wimpy testimonial. That's something that, you wrote yourself or you had a friend write for you. A specific testimonial is, like an example that I gave. After listing our home with our previous agent for 3 months with no success, Bruce sold our home in 8 days for 101% of our asking price. Thank you, Bruce. You did a great job. We'd recommend you to everybody and anybody that we meet. That's an awesome testimonial. Now, the question, where would I run that? Only on Zillow? Why? No, everywhere. So many options for something that good. Next question, Andrea.
Our next question comes in the form of audio from Lisa Nash. Your mic is now open.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I just have a question with regard to the tagline that goes with your home sold guaranteed or we'll buy it. I've seen a couple different versions, and I just want to know if it makes a difference. So there's one that is like Lisa Nash and seller must agree on the price and closing date. And then I've seen other people use at a price and closing date acceptable by the seller. So which one do you recommend? Or are they the same, or does it matter?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, ultimately, what I would love to be able to use is the most basic. And actually, this is the one that Craig used, and it said this. For details and conditions, visit www.craigproctorguaranteed.com. In other words, to get the prospect to take action to learn about how the guarantee works is better than spelling it out in the ad itself. But having said that, we want to make sure that nobody feels like they're at risk by making an offer like this. And I understand that, I mean, you can easily feel like, well, if I'm not disclosing how it works, am I going to get in trouble? I need to disclose that. The condition is very simple, that you must mutually agree with the seller on asking price and closing date. And really, forget about closing date. You really need to agree on price, right? That's really what it boils down to, is that the Nash team and seller must agree on price. But, think about it. Without that there and having it instead say, for details and conditions, visit thenashteam.com. That means that they need to take action to find out how the program works.
So that would be acceptable. That would be acceptable too from a.
Well, and that's the thing is that acceptable where you live? I can tell you that not all areas are the same. I don't want you to get in trouble, and neither does Craig. So we want to make sure that wherever it is that you're running this, that you are in absolute accordance with the disclosure laws in your area.
Well, I'm where Craig is, so I guess whatever.
Well, that's what he said. It said for details and conditions, visit or call. Right? I mean, in other words, what we're disclosing is that there are conditions. We're not saying there are no conditions. It says very clearly for details and conditions, which indicates that there are what? Conditions. Would you like to know what those conditions are? Then you have to take action. Action means visiting the website or picking up the phone and calling. So now, there are other areas, though, where that's not enough. You've got to spell out in the offer the condition. And in that instance, it would say, Nash team and seller mutually agree on price.
Okay, got it.
Or it could say this, at a price acceptable to you. See, that's another way we get around it. Your home's sold guaranteed at a price acceptable to you. Because the truth is, it does have to be acceptable to them in order for you to guarantee the property.
Right. And that one to me sounds sort of less I don't know.
Right.
It just
Yes,
seems
less
like a nicer
effective.
way. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you think that one could comply as well, because that's one that I
absolutely.
wanted. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And I also sent, I don't know if it was too late, but I emailed Andrea just this morning some business cards. I wouldn't mind. I don't know if, or is it too late to
Yeah, well,
look at
we'll
them?
look at those on Friday, if you don't mind.
Okay.
But let me ask you a quick question about them. Is your USP on your business card?
Yes. So what I did is I think I copied them all right. I did the your referrals help the kids, and I
Excellent.
did the buy or love this house or we'll buy it back or sell it for free. So I just kind of copied what Warren Flax had, and
Yeah,
then I just did the same. So I just wanted to make sure that
awesome.
I was on the right page. So I've sent those. There's a couple typos, but maybe we'll look at them on Friday, as you say.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for doing that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question comes from Christy Thomas. It says, going back to James' answer on reviews, testimonials, how did you get the clients to write a good testimonial? Do you write it and give it to them to post online?
That would be great when you can get your here's a good way of doing it. Okay, so we just sold Andrea's home, let's say. And I know that Andrea knows that we did a great job. Andrea is over the moon happy because we got over asking price for Andrea's home and we sold her home quickly. And Andrea is really, really happy. So I say this, hey, Andrea, would you mind writing a really short couple of sentence testimonial about your experience working with us? Would you mind doing that, Andrea? Now, what would you say, Andrea?
No, I don't mind.
Okay, well, there are a few key points that I want to make sure that you make if you're going to do it. The most important ingredients in your testimonial, Andrea, are the time that it took us to sell your home and how much money we got over asking price for your property. Because I think you'd agree those are probably the two things that you're most pleased with about your home sale. Is that fair to say, Andrea?
Yes.
Okay, so if we write up a little testimonial, can you just include those two things? How quickly we sold the home and the amount of money over asking price that you got for your property. Because if those were what made you most pleased, I think they'll also what will please other prospective sellers that are thinking about selling your home. Would you agree?
Yes.
And Andrea, would it be helpful at all if I were to send you an example of a testimonial that we've gotten from some of our other clients as well? Would that make it easier? I mean, I don't want this to be, I don't want you to spend an afternoon writing, take after take on this. I want it to be easy for you because I really do appreciate you doing this for us. Would that make it easier for you?
Sure, why not?
Okay. I'll send over now. I'll just email you right now as we're on the phone. I'll email you a couple of examples. Listen, here's what I'm saying. Hey, Andrea, just copy. Just copy the template. Here's what I want you to say in the testimonial. Here's what I want you to focus on. You can say it in your words. You can add anything else you want to it. But I need you to include these elements in the testimonial that are specific to the outcome of what occurred. Okay? So I think that all of us, that we can all do that. I think all of us are able to have that conversation and lead the prospect. Because if I leave it up to Andrea and say, hey, Andrea, would you mind writing a testimonial for us if you think we did a good job? And Andrea says, yeah, sure. And then I get an email from Andrea that says, the Craig Proctor team was so great. They did such a great job and they were so friendly. We're really happy with them and we would use them again and recommend them to everybody. It's fluffery. It's wimpy. There's no meat. There's no specifics. There's no outcome, right? There is nothing to differentiate us from anybody else who happens to be nice. So we want to make sure that the specifics are in there, and that's going to take prompting the prospect, or sorry, prompting your client to do that. But I think you can have that conversation with them if you know you did a good job and you know they're extremely pleased. But do it at the right time. Don't wait until the end. When they're happiest upon that accepted offer, that's when you want to get them to write the testimonial. All right, good question.
Our next question from Nick and Joe. What is the most effective way to stay in touch with buyers who I've met and have agreed to work with me when there just aren't very many houses being emailed to them weekly due to low inventory and not meeting their previously determined buying criteria?
Well, okay, so here's a couple things. First of all, remember this. One of the benefits of having a buyer contract is that you can sign them to a 12-month buyer contract. So even if they say, hey, look, I'm just looking, when the right home comes up, we'll consider it, but this is something we may not do for 6 months to a year. As long as you've got them signed to a buyer contract, then that's great. We're going to provide them whatever comes on the market, and today if there's nothing, or this week if there's nothing, then they get nothing. There is nothing. Okay, that's just how this is going to work. But watch this. Here's a rule. You never want to let 90 days go by without having a verbal conversation with your client, because they are your client. They signed a buyer agreement with you. They are your client. Even though they say, I'm not buying anything for 6 months, you never want to let 90 days go by without having a conversation with them. And preferably, it should be a lot sooner than that. Okay, now here's something else that I might recommend as well. What if you said to them, look, because there is low inventory, what I'd like to do is I'd like to maybe broaden our search of what is being sent to you. Not suggesting that you're necessarily going to buy anything, but by broadening the search, maybe there's an off chance that something might present itself that really appeals to you, even though it isn't in your initial range of what you're looking for. You don't have to buy anything. You know that. You're not under any obligation to buy anything. But by broadening our search, maybe it'll tap into some properties that perhaps might be of interest to you that we would have missed otherwise. Does that sound like a good idea? Okay, so that's something that you might want to do as well. But yeah, I mean, and of course the other key ingredient here when you're in a situation like this is you need to make sure that they're in a position that when the perfect property does come available, knowing that that doesn't happen very often, that they're in a position to act. So making sure they're qualified and motivated and ready to act when the perfect property comes available is key. So that, I mean, I'm sharing with you what Craig's team, what we did, and it worked extremely well. But remember this, just because a buyer signs a buyer contract doesn't mean they're shopping to buy something today. That's why they're 12 months long. Buyer contract is 12 months. They could buy anything today, or they could buy something in December. But you've got them signed to a 12-month contract, so you can provide them with all the information. All right.
Okay. Jordan Tanner is asking, how is he going to set himself apart? And his question goes, I want to know how my home hunter service is better. I use an auto email from the MLS. The other agents use the same thing. I know about off-market deals here and there. The other agents also do that. How do I improve the quality of my home hunter service so that I really do have a better service than them?
Okay, well, first of all, let's agree that just because the other agents can provide that service doesn't mean that they do, and it doesn't mean that they do to the prospect that you're speaking to. So watch this. Do you agree that when you're following up with a buyer prospect, the reason you're following up with them is because they responded to an ad that you ran? Now, if they responded to an ad, it means that they're looking at ads. Well, hang on a second. If what they were receiving from the other agents was so good and all-inclusive, why the heck are they looking at ads? Think about how logical that is. I get every single property from a realtor. They email it to me the second it comes available to the marketplace. If that's true at every single property that is for sale, private listings, pocket listings, MLS properties, all companies, if I'm getting that, do I go on Google and do a search for homes for sale? Why? Why would I do that if I'm already getting all the properties? Here's why. The prospects that you're following up with aren't getting all the properties. That's why they're looking online. That's why they're looking in print. That's why they're responding to property ads, is because they're not getting all the properties. So when you follow up with them and say, hey, look, I happen to notice that you're combing the internet trying to find properties for sale. Would you like me to email you every day all the homes as they come on the market from all the different real estate companies, including the properties you won't find online or elsewhere, the hard to find properties, for sale by owners, pocket listings that aren't available on the market yet but are in fact for sale, properties from all different real estate companies. We're going to be all-inclusive in sending you everything. Here's why, Jordan. If you're receiving these properties from me in your email inbox every single day, you will no longer have any need to comb the internet looking for properties that appeal to you. I'm already sending you them immediately as they're available for sale. Would that be something of interest to you? It's absolutely free. There's no obligation to buy. Do you agree that I've set myself apart pretty well there? See, you're making the assumption that they're getting properties from other real estate agents. Are some? Perhaps. But here's the bottom line. If you tell me that you're already getting emails from another realtor, then my question is this: well, I couldn't help but to notice you responded to my ad online. If the properties that you were getting from the other realtor included everything, then what were you looking for online? Why were you searching for properties online? Maybe you weren't getting everything that you're looking for. Are you receiving bank-owned properties, for sale by owner properties, distress sales, bank foreclosures, company-owned, probates, pocket listings, off-market homes, properties reduced in price? See, if there's any doubt that you might be that you're not receiving those, then you could be missing out on the best properties. What I propose is that we email you everything the second it comes on the market. Would that be of interest to you? It's free. There's no obligation. We can do this. Okay, listen, you'll find that it's rare that a prospect responding to an ad is going to fight you on receiving all-inclusive better information from you. What they may fight you on is meeting with you, but the benefit of what you're offering is a no-brainer. If you're looking to buy a home, what we're offering them is as good as it gets. There's nothing better than what we're offering. It is the pinnacle of service to a buyer looking for a home. So I hope that helps. And if you want to go back and revisit, we record this, so you can kind of go jot down in bullet point some of those examples that I gave of what you want to communicate to the prospect. Good question, Jordan. Thanks.
Our next question comes in the form of audio. Michelle Fraser, your line is now open. Michelle? Okay, we'll move on to Mario Daniel Sconza. Your mic is now open.
Good morning.
Daniel. Hello.
Thank you very, very much. Can you hear me okay?
Well, I wouldn't say okay, but I can hear you. Just make it real clear.
Okay. Three, what I hope will be quick questions and answers, because I don't want to be selfish with time. One of the things I love that you say, James, is we should not book an appointment because we could. We should only book an appointment because we should. Now, with that in mind, if we cannot book an appointment, say, within a 48-hour span of our call, should we go ahead and book an appointment, let's say, into next week, or should we at that point opt for a follow-up call instead?
Listen, booking it up, if you've identified that this is a motivated prospect, you absolutely want to book an appointment. What I'm suggesting, Daniel, is that you book the appointment as close to now as you can. If as close to now as you can happens to mean Friday, it's better to have an appointment booked on Friday than to not have an appointment booked at all. So if the appointment is worthy, if the prospect is worthy of an appointment, book the appointment. Now, will it always mean that you're able to book it the same day? Of course not. But booking an appointment is way better than not booking the appointment. Okay, so I can't be more clear on that one.
Good. And what should the platinum standard be, James, in terms of time invested on the phone prospecting daily and contacts made daily? What's the platinum standard?
There is no platinum standard. It depends on how many leads you're generating. Listen, I spent a little bit of time last week over at Jim Buttrell's office, and he's got a team of 4 inside salespeople that are on the phones every day following up with all the leads that he's generating, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of leads. You can't tell me that there's a set hours for somebody generating 1,000 leads a month as there is for somebody who's generating 200. Right? It's not going to work that way. Here's the bottom line. you want to make sure that the leads that you're generating are adequately being followed up with. And the more you follow up with the leads, the more appointments you're going to book and the more business you're going to do. It's really that simple. And when you are really good at it or have somebody who's really good at it, there isn't anything more dollar productive than following up the leads and booking appointments with the prospects. Nothing. It's only if you're not good at it that it's time consuming, work that nobody really wants to do. But if you're good at it and in an hour you follow up with leads and book 5 appointments, I'll tell you what, there isn't anything more dollar productive than booking 5 appointments in an hour.
Very true.
So I'm sorry that I can't be more satisfying in a definitive number in a box for a question like that, but you've got to you got to see that the number of leads you're generating will dictate the amount of time that you spend.
Understood, James. One of the biggest challenges I'm facing right now is, before I came into the program, the majority of my business was done via repeat, referral, and for sale by owner. And as such, it was rather easy for me to, say, manage the lead flow. And now I'm generating approximately 300 leads a month. And at this time, specifically with Commissions Inc. and editorials. And what I'm finding is I sort of, for lack of a better terminology, James, I sort of lose touch. In other words, I don't have that, where I was generating fewer leads, I could keep in better touch and just keep better control, so to speak. Can you speak to that a little bit and give me some ideas and help with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess what happens is this: when you're generating a good substantial amount of business from repeat and referral business, it's easy, and I get that. And that is always going to be there. As a matter of fact, I will argue that that segment of your business will only grow. It'll only get bigger. The more business you do, the more repeat and referral business you will get, right? But think of it this way, okay? The driving force behind you getting more repeat business is the new business. A new customer becomes a repeat customer and becomes a referral opportunity. So we're only going to grow our business by focusing on the new business that comes in. What you want to look at is, what is your system that you have in place for efficiently following up with the brand new leads, the 300 leads that you're generating every month. And the more efficient and proficient you become with those 300 leads, what you will discover is this: overwhelmingly, the majority of your business comes consistently and predictably from those 300 leads, and that the repeat and referral business will become more of a supplement to that business as opposed to the other way around. But there's a transition, and it's only going to happen if your system that you have in place for the new business, those 300 leads you're generating every month, is really good. You've got to have that system in place. The lead conversion has to be there. And yes, there's a transition, and it does take a little time, and you'll get better. But I'll tell you this: 6 months from now, you'll look back on what you're doing now, and you'll see incredible gains. A year from now, it won't even be recognizable. That is normal. That is exactly what's going to happen to you, Daniel. Okay, we better move on and go to our next question, Andrea.
Yes, sir. This is from Michelle. If someone leaves a phony phone number and we can obtain a correct phone number, do you really think they will be motivated to proceed?
Yeah, you're right. Forget it. Do you sense my sarcasm there? Listen. We're not trying to convert everybody. Okay, so I follow up with Andrea, and I got her phone number. Andrea left all her contact information, but she didn't leave the right phone number, or she didn't leave a phone number. But because there's this thing called the interwebs, I went online, and in 4 seconds I found a phone number for Andrea. So I call Andrea and I say, oh, hi, Andrea. It's James calling with Craig Proctor's office at RE/MAX. Hey, Andrea, the reason I'm calling you is I just got your request on my website for a free list of homes with pools in the area. And I just want to give you a quick courtesy call and let you know that I did prepare and email you those pool homes. I hope that's okay. Okay, now, I know that I just looked up Andrea's phone number and that she didn't give it to me. So Andrea says, what? What are you going to say? What are you going to, how did you get my phone number? Well, actually, I looked it up in the phone book, Andrea. You had given me your address and your name, so I simply looked it up in the phone book. But again, I'm just calling as a courtesy to let you know that I got your request. I hope that's okay, Andrea. Like, there is no problem here. I'm calling to let Andrea know that she requested information from me, and I'm calling as a courtesy to let her know that I've provided it. Andrea is going to say, okay. She's going to say, she might be, inquisitive as to how I got her phone number. That's cool. I got no problem with that. I looked it up online. But again, Andrea, I'm just calling to let you know that I did provide you with the information that you wanted. I hope that's okay. Yes, thank you. Hey, by the way, you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? This is not hard. And we're not doing anything that's illogical here. This is absolutely logical and straightforward. It makes total sense. Prospect requested information from me. I'm pretty resourceful. I went online and in 5 seconds I got a phone number. You want to know how I got the phone number? Well, you gave me your name and your address and I looked up your phone number online, and I just wanted to call you as a courtesy to let you know I did get your request and I provided you with the information. Is that okay, Andrea? You're going to say okay, right? It's not like I've intruded. You requested information from me. Now, what if Andrea was super rude? I hate people like you. Have a great day. Good luck with that. That's okay. But it's going to be the exception, not the rule. Good question. What's next, Rhea?
Our next question from Linda. If I have someone following up with the leads on the phone call and they make the appointment for myself or my agent to meet the person, how does that work if I have someone following up with the leads other than myself?
Okay, well, so first of all, the language that we used on Craig's team is we. Right? In other words, one of our USPs is that for the same price as hiring a single realtor, you get Craig's entire team of specialists working on your behalf. That's a benefit, right? That's a benefit. Let me get this straight. I can hire a single agent who tries to do everything, or for the exact same amount of money, I can hire a team of specialists all working on my behalf to get my home sold or to help me find and purchase a home. That's a benefit. So we like to use we. So when I'm booking an appointment, you're going to meet with us. We are going to see you at 3:30 on Wednesday. It's a benefit. But you don't have to name names. You don't have to say, no, Jared is going to be meeting with you. It's unnecessary. They are going to be meeting with us. Okay? So when you use that language, I want you to change your paradigm. It's a benefit. It's a benefit, the fact that, they are hiring a team to help them look for a property. Let's say that the prospect thought they were going to be meeting with whoever set up the appointment. So I'm on the phone and I book an appointment with my prospect. And the prospect thinks, oh, I'm meeting with this James guy. I was talking to James on the phone and he booked an appointment with me. He made it sound really good and I'm really comfortable with this. He made it sound really non-threatening. He made it sound like it'd be really quick and easy. Get in, get out, talk about what I'm looking for. 15, 20, 25 minutes, we'll be done. I get to the office and I say, hi, I'm here to meet with James, I think it was. Now, what if they got to the office and the appointment wasn't with James? Is it the end of the world? Are the other team members, are they equipped to handle this kind of an instance where the prospect thought they were meeting with somebody else? On our team, because of the marketing that Craig did, the sellers very typically thought that they were meeting with Craig, even though we never said they're meeting with Craig. Now, often they did meet with Craig, but very often they didn't. So let's, for example, say Craig's top outside salesperson, Lindy Black, had to learn to overcome this objection. You either have to learn to overcome this or this is never going to work. When you show up at the door and they're expecting Craig Proctor, and it's Lindy Black from the Craig Proctor team, you better be able to make that a benefit to them. That you are the area specialist that Craig asked. I'm Craig's partner, and Craig asked me to meet with you as I am the area specialist in properties, in your neighborhood for the Craig Proctor team. You better be able to overcome that. I am telling you that so many of these, these challenges are paradigm. They're not real. Like, the prospect doesn't know either one of you. They aren't real challenges. They're perceived. We perceive them to be a challenge. Let me give you another example that I think that a lot of you that are on this webinar probably experienced yourself. We do half-day seminars around the United States. Sometimes Craig does them, sometimes I do them, but we market them as the Craig Proctor system. They're Craig Proctor seminars. What percentage of you showed up to a half-day seminar and maybe expected that it would be Craig Proctor who would be presenting the Craig Proctor system? Now, some of you may have gotten Craig Proctor. He may have actually been the one giving the seminar, but for the majority, it wasn't. It was me. But I know that you don't know either one of us. You don't know Craig and you don't know me. So if I invent this to be some big hassle and you're going to throw tomatoes and you're going to get up and run out because it's not Craig Proctor, I'm building that up in my head. It's not reality. That's just my paradigm. That's what I think you're going to think. It happens to have no basis in fact. Same is true here. I book an appointment for the prospect to meet with the Craig Proctor team. Sometimes that prospect thinks they're going to meet with me, but they're not going to. We can handle it. It's not a problem. I love that question, though. Okay, Andrea, let's take a couple more here before we wrap it up for this morning and let everybody get on with their week.
Okay. A couple of our newer members are asking, where do they get information such as pocket listings, FSBO, or off-market properties?
You be resourceful. Okay, first of all, there are websites that you can utilize to get information on properties that are for sale by owner. You want to talk to the various lender affiliates that you have so that they can provide you with foreclosure properties or any properties that might not be MLS properties at the moment. But you need to be resourceful. Now, having said all that, in your office meetings, okay, are there any agents that have pocket listings, any affiliates that you work with that know of properties that are going to be coming on the market? Be resourceful. But having said all that, this is extremely important. The prospect is likely going to buy a property on MLS. Okay, let me repeat that. Even though you're going to be resourceful and you're going to provide them with, for sale by owners from time to time, or there might be a pocket listing, there might be a property that you find from another realtor in your office that hasn't come on the market, and you send them those properties. Overwhelmingly, the likeliness is the prospect is never going to buy one of those properties. They're going to buy a property that comes on MLS that's listed by another realtor in the marketplace, because that represents 99.9% of all the properties. But the reason we're offering them these properties is because we want to set ourselves apart and provide them with everything. We know that the likeliness of them buying a bank foreclosure is pretty slim. But does that mean we shouldn't provide those properties? No, we should. So yeah, we're going to have to be resourceful. We're going to have to find properties that we can. But overwhelmingly, the likeliness is any buyer that you work with, when you successfully sell them a property, what property are you going to sell them? Is it going to be a bank foreclosure? Is it going to be a for sale by owner? Highly unlikely. That doesn't mean you shouldn't provide them with those properties, though. But of course, that also means that, yeah, now you have to be resourceful in finding these properties. You may not find all of them, but you're sure going to make an effort to send them what you can, provided it matches what they're looking for. All right, Andrea, who's next?
Okay, we have a couple of members asking, do they send this information such as the list and the reports automatically? How do they send them? Email versus mail?
Yeah, mail. I'm sorry, email. Yeah, if a prospect went online, listen, the emails are automatic, right? You've got IDX on your website, or if you're using a Success website, you may have HDX, but you can set it up so that it automatically sends properties to the prospect. Now, when from time to time there's another property that you have access to that's not on the MLS, they're not going to get that property unless you manually email it to them. But remember, that property has to match their criteria. So the fact that there is a bank foreclosure isn't relevant. What would be relevant is that that bank foreclosure matches the criteria of the buyer that you're working with, your buyer client, whereupon you would then physically email that property to your buyer client. That's all. Next question.
Okay, I'm kind of going through them. We had lots of questions, but we've all answered them. They were pretty much the same.
Okay. Well, pick out the very best question that you can find, Andrea, and we'll wrap it up.
Okay. Hold on just 1 second. Let's see. Okay, we have a lot of members who, and we always address this when new members start, who are not getting all of the information. So where do they go to find, say, they just left an email address or they didn't leave their physical address? How do you handle these situations?
Okay, so let me answer this question in two parts. Okay, the first part is this. Part of the reason why we ask for information from the prospect is so that we can contact them. But the other reason that we ask for information from the prospect is because what they're doing is they're essentially jumping through a hoop and showing their motivation. Okay, let me put it this way. Do you agree that a prospect that gives information about themselves is likely more motivated than somebody who does not? Okay, I'm looking at all of your faces right now, and you're nodding your head. That's true. Okay, so let me repeat that. Do you agree that a prospect that gives more information about themselves is likely more motivated than a prospect that doesn't give information about themselves? Would you agree that's likely true in most instances? Not in all instances, but overwhelmingly most likely. If a prospect gives their address, their name, their telephone number, they're likely more motivated than somebody who gives an email address only. Would you guys agree? That's definitely true. Now, so right off the bat, we know that if we have enough prospects that do give contact information, then those overwhelmingly should take priority over the ones that don't. Here's the rule. If I put in an address and I do a search for a phone number of an address on Google, just do a Google search as a basic resource, you're going to find that just doing that, you're going to be able to get phone numbers. But there are websites, whitepages.com. There's a great website. You have to pay a very small monthly fee or yearly fee. It's called Being Verified. And with that, you can put in a name, a phone number, a name, an address, any information, and you find it. It's called Being Verified, B-E-E-N Verified. And I mean, you'll be blown away by the information that you can get on just about anybody, but really, really helpful for locating contact information. But how about this? You put in an address, go into the Google search box and put this, phone number for, and then put in an address and a name. And just see what comes up on your Google search. And you know what you're going to find? 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the phone number right there through your Google search. That will be a phone number. Now at least you have a number where you can attempt to reach them. Simple Google search, costs you nothing. But again, remember this. The less information the prospect leaves, the less motivated the prospect likely is. The more information the prospect gives you, the more motivated the prospect likely is. So we want to make it easy for them to give information about themselves. I'm not saying that we don't want to follow up with everybody, but I'm saying not all prospects are created equally. The best prospects are the ones that give more information. Okay, now Andrea, is there anything else really that strikes you as a unique question that we haven't gone over yet today?
No, I feel like we've addressed all of them. We have some members who are asking to go into detail about some of our guarantees, but I don't think we would have time to do that clearly enough on today's session.
Okay, well, please bear this in mind. What we're going to do on Friday on the iClinic is we're going to look at, as we always do, branded and less branded. And branded means USPs. So reserve your questions regarding the USPs. Reserve your questions for Friday, and we will get into minute detail, if need be, on how the various guarantees work specifically.
Ellen,
but in the meantime,
if we wanted to take one more, Ellen says she has an urgent question that she'd like me to ask you, and I'll go ahead and do that now. She says, I have listed a property which is an age-restricted 55-plus gated community. The property needs work. If I want to do a Facebook ad campaign, which approach do you think will draw the most prospects? She's named a few here if you want me to go ahead and list everything.
Okay, well, first of all, I was going to say, so you could offer a free list of senior community properties. You could offer a free list of area fixer-upper properties. Let's understand this, okay? The purpose of running an ad is to generate leads. It's not to sell your listing, right? There is no ad you're going to run on Facebook to sell that listing. That's not the purpose of an ad. The purpose of an ad is to generate prospects. Now, if we take those prospects and we show them that property, hey, you never know. Maybe somebody will want to buy that property. That'd be great. But we're not banking on that. What we're banking on is that these prospects want to buy something, and you can help them buy anything else in the marketplace that they might be looking for. So if you're going to take this approach of running a free list of senior community properties, then any prospect that you generate from that, certainly you can promote your property listing to them, but the reason you're doing it is to generate leads. And if you run an ad that offers a free list of fixer-upper properties, these homes need work but are great deals, then you certainly want to take those prospects and show them your property, but the reason we're doing it is to generate leads that we can sell anything to. Don't ever lose sight of the fact that there is no ad that we're going to run that's going to sell a property for sale. An ad is going to generate prospects. If one of those prospects happen to want to buy that property, that's awesome. But the reason we're running the ad is to lead generate. I hope that makes a lot of sense to you. James at craigproctor.com. Ellen, send me your examples that you've got there or your thoughts, and we'll see if we can't put you in the right direction here, and then we'll look at that on Friday as well. All right, sounds good. Andrea, thanks so much for your help today, and thanks for everybody who participated. We went through a lot of questions, didn't we, Andrea? Just bang, bang, bang. Isn't that good?
We did. And just before we leave, I just want to let everyone know we have some awesome coaching webinars coming up. Specifically, our new group that just started has session 2, which was one of our most important sessions on Wednesday. So please check the coaching schedule webinars to see what you have in store coming up this week.
Cool deal. Thank you, Andrea, and thanks everyone for participating. Don't forget Thursday role play, Friday ad clinic. Have a great week, everybody. Reach out to us if anything you need. Your coach, me, Rick, anybody, any questions you have, we will get them answered. And at very least, you can always get your questions answered on Monday, Thursday, and Fridays as well. So you got lots and lots of opportunity. Thanks so much, and have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a wonderful week ahead.